Hey, what up, Exiles? This is Lord Shadow, coming with a new video series. I'm going to try to make it kind of short, but basically I wanted to help a lot of the new people that are starting to get exposure to Path of Exile with it hitting the front page of Reddit a couple days. A lot of big announcements coming from GGG. So I see a lot of people that are having a hard time making it through the storyline, just getting, decent builds, and I know there's a lot of people who want to be kind of over the story and already have a basis on how to get into maps by the time 2.6 releases or even 3.0. So this series is basically just going to help lead you through how, for example, for like myself and probably many others, end up making builds. So to start, I went by the current patch, so 2.5. So I just searched for PoE 2.5 Budget League Starter. So it gives me a shitload of results, and from here I'm going to be able to choose hopefully a build that's budget and like league friendly. Something nice you can do is if you get this result, just filter by the PoE site. I'll show you all the posts like posted through the build section of the forum, so you can kind of go through, pick something that's like kind of up your alley. So there's a whole lot of shit. Just go through, kind of find something. You'll have to base it on, go through and actually read it, see like how budget it is. Budget's a pretty loose term in PoE. I mean, someone can have 100x and consider that to be budget. So the one I picked was this Earthquake Guide by Lifting Nerd Bro. He's a pretty big streamer in PoE. But it says Beginner's Earthquake, Tanky High DPS Build Guide. We'll just kind of go through a little bit. So it's designed for both new players and veterans. It has potential to run the highest level maps. It's very tanky and the clear speed is great. So it sounds like it could be a good build. Another thing you want to consider going through is checking out the skill gems. I even went as far to pull them up on the wiki, and you can come down and see where you can get them as quest rewards, as vendor rewards. So it's a good idea to do that as you go through. Maybe you are playing a build that requires less duration, but you're playing as a shadow, but you see you're not going to be able to pick it up as a shadow. So that means you're either going to have to find it from someone else or get the currency to buy it. So if it's your first time, maybe you're not willing to trade or kind of deal with any of that shit. So you may want to pick a build, at least a 4-link that you can get all the gems for your character type from vendors or quest rewards. It'll save you time and just kind of make your life a little bit easier. But I already checked all these, we'll be good to go. Alright guys, so when you're going through to pick a build guide, you want to make sure that you're going through checking each of the required items within the build guide and recommended uniques or other gear. So for instance, we found this build guide. It says it's fun, easy, and cheap, fast and game viable. So to most people that's going to be like, oh sweet, that sounds like a good build. Save yourself some time though and go through and price check all the uniques or gear before you actually buy or commit to the build. So for instance, on this one we see Zost's Blood Amber Amulet. So what I did is I went through to PoE Trade. It's poe.trade. It's literally the URL. Go through, type in Zost's Blood, search for it, and as you can see, it's 52C. So you definitely aren't going to be making that as a new player to PoE or as someone who's just starting a league. So I know a lot of people just came in because of the recent announcements. So 50 Chaos is quite a bit of currency to someone who's new. It's not very realistic. This is kind of an item you would want to put on like maybe a second or third build that you're playing within a league. So you'd want to put this one kind of on the back burner for now. If we go back to the original build guide we're following, in here it says that it's fairly budget friendly. No unique items are required in order to make it work. So this is very good for a beginning build because we're not bound to specific uniques that make the build work. So we can pretty much pick up any rare item within the game and we'll be good to go. It does recommend some though. So what I did was I went down. So one of the first upgrades we can get is a two-handed axe limb split. So I searched for that, and it looks like we can grab one for about 1 alchemy. So an alch is a really common currency drop. The chances are you're going to drop one of these before you even hit level 13. So by the time you hit level 13, you're going to have like a really good weapon ready to go for you. And especially in the beginning stages of the game, these uniques are probably going to outperform most of the rares you're going to find. and it just allows you to up your DPS, not spend too much currency, and just make leveling a lot smoother. Now if we go back, there is a recommended endgame unique. It's the Mrohi. So this is the weapon we're going to be using as our endgame weapon. So we'll search for that, and we find that it's also about 1 alch. So that means we're going to be spending probably less than a chaos for each of our upgrades, and we don't always need to upgrade our weapon. Maybe you'll be able to make it with just like 2 or 3 upgrades in, and then just skate your way all the way up to this weapon. So you have to be careful that when you're following these build guides, please check all the required and suggested uniques and see how much they are. You're going to save yourself a lot of time if you level up to 60 and then you realize you can't afford the unique item that's like required to make the build actually work. Also notice that it automatically lists these by the cheapest. Sometimes people manipulate and they just won't respond. Usually I just scroll down a little bit to get a bit of a range of price. We see this one's not changing, it's just 1 alch, 1 alch, 1 alch. So it's a good chance that these are actually worth 1 alchemy. A lot of people post shit for pretty cheap, but they won't end up selling. So you have to just go through, maybe whisper 5 or 6 people. You'll finally get someone who will sell you one. To do it, all you have to do is hit the whisper button. It copies a little text to your clipboard. You go into PoE, paste it into the chat box. It'll automatically whisper them, and then they'll send you an invite, give them 1 alchemy orb, they'll trade you the item, hover over it, and then hit accept, and you're good to go. So I hope that kind of explains how to determine if a build actually is budget, or if it's, kind of a loose term budget. So just make sure you're price checking the items beforehand. Just save yourself a lot of time leveling up and allocating points and stuff. Alright guys, up next is you're going to want to find a loot filter. I can link below like a list of like a bunch of community run loot filters. One of the most popular ones though is Neversink's. He's super popular. It's a very, very popular loot filter, and it's kind of nice because as you gain more experience in game, you can make it a stricter and stricter filter, which is an awesome feature of his loot filter. So kind of helps like weed out the bad items when you're new, and then as you become more experienced and want to streamline what you're looking at, it kind of drops some of like the lesser rares and stuff. So you'll definitely want to download some kind of loot filter. It's highly recommended. If you're brand new, you're probably just going to want to download this one and stick to the regular. I'm just going to run that one for this video series just so it doesn't seem confusing why I have a lot less drops, or maybe there's like different colors or something. So go ahead and download that and install it. I can try to link a video in the description that'll show you how to set up loot filters and whatnot. But otherwise, I guess we will go ahead and jump into PoE now. We'll just create this one in Breach League. We're going to get Duelist like the video guide said.
Was I supposed to bear such insults with inaction? Simply because of his high birth? That Lord sang it didn't.
Alright, so we're in game now. So I'm going to try to make this a goal of the series
Even
to try to
the
just
dead rise
cover
to
a lot of shit
here.
that I think some guides don't cover, and kind of just give enough general info that any person can pick up the game, follow this build guide, or maybe even follow like a different build guide, but just to understand how to progress, what items to look for, just kind of general information that'll make your life a little bit easier. But for now, I guess we'll just cut the audio section. Maybe I'll pull it back up later in post if I need to add any more commentary. Otherwise, maybe I'll just use text over. But yeah, guys, I hope you enjoyed the series. I'm going to try to get like a shitload of the videos just made and then upload it once, so that way you don't have to deal with waiting for new ones. But yeah, hope you guys enjoyed the series. Yeah, peace out, Exiles.